Hello everyone, Felthus45 here, and I'm sorry there's no video games here, but I was planning on making a video last weekend, and it just didn't come together very well, so this has been on the tutorial list for a while, and it's TrueCrypt. You might have heard of it. It is a free open source on-the-fly solution for encryption, and if you like it, make a donation. What it is it allows you to make a container to throw things in and locks it down. I was recently traveling across the border and I heard that they can just go through your computer at any whim, so I didn't really have anything illegal or bad. I just had things that, were personal to me. Pictures of my families and friends, and work documents. I mean, I archive all my passwords for everything on my computer, and I wouldn't want the border agents or anyone who would ever have access to my computer through a network to have access to those files, so I kind of want to lock them down. Better safe than sorry. But if you are someone who pirates movies or something, you can use this to save yourself from the intruding government if you're really suspicious. Anyway, let's show you how to use it, and I do apologize for the people who subscribe to me for Minecraft videos, but I didn't have time to do it, so we'll boot that up. And what makes TrueCrypt better than, for instance, say WinRAR and putting a password on it, WinRAR can be really easily brute forced depending upon the complexity of your password, but compared to TrueCrypt, it's pretty weak in comparison. So let's start off by creating a volume or a container. So we click that, and we're going to see this page, which is a little confusing, but we're not doing anything very advanced today. I'll do future tutorials if this video hits any amount of success, but we're just going to keep the option above at create an encrypted file container selected, and click next. And we're also going to keep the top one selected, although hidden TrueCrypt volumes are really cool and really helpful if you do not want the volume to be found. For instance, if you're at the border of a state, if they ask you to do something like open your trunk, or give me the keys to this safe, or give me the password to your computer or this volume, you have to do it, otherwise you risk getting kicked out. So the best way to avoid this is to just completely hide it, divert their attention, and be like, oh, well, he doesn't have anything. And this is even pretty hard to find, but I'll do a future video on that. Standard TrueCrypt volume is what we're doing today. Very, very simple. And here, what we actually want to do is click the select file button and just go to your desktop. It really doesn't matter. If you're doing this to a flash drive, you can also just save you a step there, select anywhere. This is just where the container is going to be saved for now. You can move it around as much as you want. You can also rename it at any time, so don't feel stressful, but we're just going to name it My Secret Stuff. And we're going to click Save. Click Next. And this is the level of encryption that you're going to be doing. You really don't need to mess with this. If you're really picky, what am I saying? If you already know what Serpent Twofish AES is, you probably don't need this video. So just go ahead and leave it at AES and click Next. And this is the part that might affect some of the later steps, because if you make a file that is, for instance, 40 gigabytes, it's going to have to create that partition as an NTFS or something so it can contain it. But most partitions for documents, files, and I guess pictures, they're going to be fairly small. So you always want to give yourself a little more space than what you need. So if I have, let's say I only have 10 megabytes of files, I should do probably 20. And keep in mind that this container will be, since it's not hidden, it's going to be known in your computer that you have a 20 megabyte file. So if I did something like 20 gigabytes, there's going to be 20 gigabytes on my computer that's completely taken up, even if I only have a few documents in there. So use only what you need, and if someone sees a 20 gigabyte file, they're going to be like, okay, that's obviously a volume because it doesn't open up with anything. So only use what you need, space it out, keep it safe. So let's say I do have 10 megabytes of documents and stuff like that. We're just going to go 20 megabytes, or kilobytes would even be good, but you know what? Yeah, let's lower that. Nope, we're not gonna. Too lazy. Click Next. And this is where we kind of get to be creative. We get to type in our password. Oops. And you know, I think I have a macro on my keyboard for this. I do. Bill Cosby rocks my socks. I use this for a lot of tutorials. So type in whatever password you want, and do try to make it a little more complex than Bill Cosby rocks my socks. Try to include special characters like equals and money signs, and pretty much a lot of shift characters, just because that will make it a little harder to brute force. This would probably only take a week tops and a really nice CPU to brute force with a very simple array plugin. So try to make it very complex. Make sure you can remember it, depending upon how important your data really is and who you're dealing with. So uncheck that, and we're going to make it even more hard to crack. So I'm going to check use key files, and then we can use this button. Once we click that, it brings up this, and this looks kind of confusing, but all we're going to use in this tutorial is the add files. So I haven't really explained what key files are. Key files are just a file that is a key. Okay, so you probably already gathered that, but essentially to open this volume up, we need the key file or key files. You can use more than one, and I'm going to use all three. So if I were to put this key file in Dropbox, this key file on a flash drive, and this key file I emailed to the location I'm going to, that would be a very secure way to do this, because not one person could easily get into this. They'd need to brute force the entire volume, and then they would need to get all of my key files, and we don't want to tape the key to the door we're trying to get into. So don't keep these on the computer that has the volume, but you can if you're dealing with someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. But let's pretend I'm a paranoid, schizophrenic, the government's trying to kill me kind of person. So I'm just going to highlight all those and click open, and it puts them all in there. It doesn't really matter which order they're in, but it does matter that we do not modify these files ever. Otherwise, it's going to change them. We shouldn't change their name. We shouldn't change their makeup. We shouldn't edit them. Just leave them as is. And you can use anything. I'm using images here. You could use an icon, which is, I guess, also an image. You could use an MP3, a document. You could even use another volume. It really doesn't matter what you use, but make sure that it's not changing and it stays the same. So don't use like a log file or something for a program that's going to be rewritten, because otherwise you'll never get in. So once you have your files or file, click OK. And you don't need to use key files if you really don't need that. Remember, that's just if you think the government's trying to kill you. Click Next. And it's going to say, your password sucks. I hate you. Use a longer password. Even though it's a bunch of characters, just say yes, or if you're really paranoid, go ahead and make another one. And it suggests using FAT. If you do have a big volume, it's going to suggest probably NTFS. And this random pool it just shows you how secure this is going to be. It's drawing from a bunch of variables from my computer, even the mouse movements. So that's pretty cool, but not really too useful for me. So we're just going to click Format. And if you created a big volume, that might take a while. For instance, like a couple gigs, it's going to have to write that entire file to your hard drive. So it could take a while. And mine was really quick because it's only 20 megs. So say OK. And you can make drives all day. You can just keep going forward. But I'm just going to click Cancel. Now what? We have my secret stuff on my desktop, and I don't know what to do with it. Well, we got to put stuff in it. So we're going to need to mount it. And I'll show you how to do that. And actually, you know what? I'll show you how to hide it a little better. My secret stuff is kind of obvious. I mean, look, I'm going to know this is an archive just by the name, and it's just a file. It's kind of obvious. So what we're going to do is rename this to accounting. Spreadsheets can often get pretty big, so it's kind of convincing that it's 20 megs. And it doesn't really look like an accounting document. So I think a spreadsheet would be XLS, the new ones. Oh no, I did XLX. Yes. Do not listen to it. But obviously, if you try to open it, it's probably going to try and open. I think that's Open Office, but it's not going to work. And it doesn't really matter what file extension you give it, so it thinks it's a spreadsheet. That's awesome. Let's go back to our TrueCrypt volume, and you can tuck this in with your other documents, and it should blend in, but if it's a very large file, people are going to be like, accounting file that is 3 gigabytes in size. 3,000 megabytes. They're not going to fall for it, so try to make it obvious and believable, whatever you decide to name it. You could even name it as a video file or something, but anyway, be creative. We want to mount it now so we can put things in it, but if we go to my computer, we see that I'm using a lot of drives here. The C, D, E, F, G, H, I. If I had my iPod and my phone plugged in and a couple SD cards, the list would go on pretty far. And so we don't really want to go too far up, just in case. It's very unlikely that you'll hit these drive numbers and they'll cause a conflict, but I like to be safe, so just go to like U or something. I think if you still have a floppy drive, those start around here, or a zip drive or something, but that's prehistoric technology by now. So now we can use this bottom panel, and we want to select our file, which is on our desktop, and I called it accounting, so it should be, there it is. Yep, and it thinks it's a Excel sheet, so that's cool. And so now what? We have to mount it. So with our selected drive, we click Mount. And it asks us for this stuff. Well, I already know my macro. Bill Cosby rocks my socks. Use key files. We click the key files, because I know it used key files. And we click Add Files. We're going to find the files we need. And it doesn't matter which order they're put in. TrueCrypt knows that, okay, these are the files that I need to open this container. Click OK, and then click OK again. And if all goes well, we should see our drive pop up right here. And open it up, it's empty. And you might notice that it's 19.6 megabytes, so that's why it's a good idea to always give yourself a little bit of room to grow, because depending upon the file structure, Windows or Mac is going to take some of that. So open it up, and I don't really have anything to put in here, so I'm just going to do a document of, let's see, people I have a crush on. Open it up, and we're going to say Bill Cosby. I'm wasting so much time on this. Let's say Neil deGrasse. And fat chick down the road. And we're going to save that. And you don't have to create the file in there. See, if I had this folder anywhere else on my computer, I could just, oops, it's still in there, I copied it. I could just drag it in, and there it is. So you can drag in all your folders and files, and it should show some of the space being taken up, but obviously this is 1 kilobyte, so it's not really going to register that. So now what do? You can't just leave it there. You need to dismount it. So all you need to do is click Dismount, and it's gone. But it's still in here. So there it is. That is how you use TrueCrypt. And again, if you want to make a donation to the developer, I'm sure he'd greatly appreciate it. It's an absolutely free program. It's just great. A lot of people are protecting their things from unwanted eyes, and I recommend it any day. But to open your accounting file, quote, all you need to do is go through the same steps, select it as a file you want to mount, use the key files and your password, and you're in, and you can put that on a flash drive or something, or email it. Really doesn't matter. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will get you guys some fresh content in the coming week.